Welcome to the Blue Jay Banner Instant Reaction Show. Jays win on a Thursday night here right before Thanksgiving weekend. We've got holiday tournaments, holiday hoops, every which way you look on ESPN and Fox Sports. It's a beautiful time of year. Jays win by a final score of 80-51 against UC Riverside. Another just fantastic performance, especially from the starting five. Nice little tune-up here. Right before the team heads to Maui and plays Texas Tech during Monday afternoon, as a matter of fact, 9:30 Maui time, which will be interesting for the guys to get used to. Kind of takes them back to AAU days a little bit. So I don't buy the whole deal that people give about guys being not ready to play that early in the morning. You should be. These kids have done it 100,000 times before in high school and AAU. So it'll be interesting for them to get into that mode out after playing mostly 7:30 and 8 p.m. tips. But just a quick run through of the stats. Zach, we've got Baylor Shireman. What a great game! Best shooting performance he's had in his young career here with the Jays. 4 games in, he was 7 of 10 from the field, 17 points, 6 rebounds. Actually didn't record an assist, which is very, very rare for Baylor.
I did notice that, yeah.
I'd be really curious to actually find out if that's ever happened in his career before. I'm sure maybe when he was a freshman or something, but it had to have been a long time since he hasn't recorded an assist. And we got 12 points from Trey Alexander, a 5 of 10 shooting, 12 points from Ryan Kalkbrenner, 5 of 6 from the field. Another just unbelievable performance from Big Kalk. His field goal percentage has got to be through the roof at this point. And then we have 12 points on 4 of 12, 2 of 6 from 3, 7 rebounds added, and actually 4 assists from Arthur Kaluma. That's a guy who might have taken Baylor Shireman's assists. We don't typically see 4 plus in the stat sheet for Arthur Kaluma. So Ryan Nemhard didn't shoot it as well. Only took 7 shots, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 5 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds for him. Off the bench, Sharif Mitchell gave some nice minutes, 7 points in only 12 minutes. And we had Frederick King. This is shocking to me, Zach. It seemed like every time I looked up, Fred King was on the floor, especially in the second half, and it looks like he only played a little bit over 9 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say 10, probably 10 max. I know they mentioned at one point with just a couple minutes left, he had 7 points in 7 minutes. So he played a surprisingly, probably the lowest amount of minutes I think he's played since Holy Cross, I would think.
Wasn't Holy Cross the last game, though?
Oh, St. Thomas.
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas.
Gotcha.
Sorry, purple.
Gotcha. The purple gotcha.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, St. Thomas, very odd score tonight, getting blown out at Montana, who is actually a team that struggled early. So a little bit of an interesting, I think that was a 3 or 4 point spread, but you're going to see a heck of a lot of variance in college basketball, especially early in the season. Yeah. A lot of scores that might not make sense. It varies really, really hard from game to game. I mean, gosh, you see Arizona State lose on Sunday at Texas Southern, and then they go ahead and they beat VCU last night, and then they're pounding Michigan right now. But we'll get in that debate for another time. We've got Coach Matthews here, Casey Matthews, video coordinator for the Jays, Coach's Corner. Casey, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, I got you. How are you?
I'm well, man. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Doing really good, really good. That was a nice one tonight. So I'm fired up to get out of here and see what we can do in Maui.
Yeah, you mean you don't like 30-mile-an-hour winds and 15-degree weather? You'd prefer to go to Maui, is what you're saying?
Sure. I mean, I'm inside most of the time, so it's fine with me out there. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to walk outside and not go, gosh, it's cold out here.
Yeah, your guys is, as the coaching staff, I guess I'll start with that. Can you just give everybody a little bit of an idea as a staff? Your trip to Maui tends to differ from the fans' this trip to Maui. Can you just talk a little bit about what you guys do as a staff when you're there? Obviously, you typically go on one of these sorts of trips most Thanksgivings here. If it's not in Maui, it's elsewhere. But just give us a little bit of an overview of kind of what your days look like as a staff.
Yeah, so I think the key to remember is going into tournaments like this is it's an eight team tournament. So there's the potential we could play any of those 7 teams. So before we even leave, we have to be prepared for at least obviously our first opponent, and then the second round, and then try to have a little bit of scout done on all 4 teams in that last round. So a lot of our time, beforehand is getting ready for all of those teams. So, and then when you get there and you leave, I mean, the entire flight, the computers will be open. We'll be watching film on some of those teams that are in this deal. And then now once we get there, Ross, I mean, Coach Mack, there's not a better head coach in the country in terms of just, well, besides basketball, obviously, but in terms of, he wants you to be a person, not just a basketball robot. So, and same with the players. So he's going to make sure that there's an experience had as well. He appreciates that. But outside of that, it's a lot of time watching film, putting scouting reports together. There'll be one of us, if not 2 of us, at every game watching, scouting. But it's great to be in those environments. My favorite part is seeing our players get to experience places like Hawaii and the Virgin Islands and places like that. That's why you do it. The basketball is great, but you do it because you want to make a difference, and seeing some of these guys that have never been to a place like this and wouldn't be there without basketball, it's really neat. So that's, I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, you did. You answered it perfectly, and I think it's the Maui Invitational. Obviously, there's tons of different Thanksgiving and even some of them have creeped into the Christmas time of year tournaments, kind of all over the country, all over the map now. But the Maui Invitational is a college basketball staple. I mean, it's been around. It's been on ESPN since everybody was a kid. I mean, has there been any talk that you've seen amongst your guys about how excited they are to play in that tournament and have so many eyes on them?
yeah, I mean, they're excited, but I think we've really focused on Riverside, over this last couple of days. And because I listened to the last podcast, as you guys were talking to Jalen about that a little bit, about is there a tendency to look forward? Is there, to just the excitement of getting there? And I mean, I'm not dumb to the fact that the guys are excited to go to Maui and see Hawaii. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be that much fun if we come back 0-3, especially.
Right.
But the whole trip starts off on a pretty sour note if it's noon and you're back at your hotel after getting beat by Texas Tech.
Right. No, there's no doubt about that. But we'll talk a little bit more about Maui kind of towards the end here. We'll get into the game against Riverside tonight. Again, we're joined by Coach Casey Matthews, video coordinator for the Jays. So you guys win 80-51. What did you see in preparation for Riverside? Obviously, you're you see everything. You see more film than anybody practically. So what did you guys see as a staff with Riverside? They've actually had there's levels to these low majors and these mid majors. I would say they're probably on the higher end of some of the low majors. That they're actually a program that's had some success over the past couple of years and won some games. What did you see on tape from this Riverside team before tonight?
We saw a really talented team, a team that can beat you a couple different ways. Saw a team that plays hard, a team that communicates, a team that looks like they enjoy playing together. And I mean, they scored 81 points last time out. We did a really good job tonight in a lot of different areas. Of course, there's always things you can clean up, but we were. I mean, Mac walked in here tonight after our game and said, boys, that was one I was ready for. I mean, that was one I was, I forget what word he didn't say nervous, but he just said, I was basically looking forward to seeing how our guys would play this game. You don't ever want to take anybody lightly, and we don't. But, there's obviously a ramp up to this season to where you're going from playing, these teams to now, next week it's Texas Tech. And if you beat them, it's Arkansas or Louisville. I mean, it's nonstop from here on out. So, in terms of what we saw, I mean, we saw a team that we were going to have to be, we were going to be on it to beat them, and not just beat them, but beat them the way that we wanted to beat them. Beat them in a way that we can have some confidence going into Maui. Do some things and to where we could take that with us and say, okay, remember we did this against Riverside or in some of those situations. So, like defensively, they play more like we do with ball screens, where they drop their big man back or they'll ice ball screens on the side and try to get you to take some of those mid-range jumpers. And that's, we preach it here. We're big on analytics. Like, that's not the shot that we want to take. We've got guys that can make it, but we'd rather get the ball to the rim, get it to Kalkbrenner, play inside out. So defensively, I was interested to see how we would play. And, we had a little bit of an advantage because we're going against that type of coverage in our practices.
In practice, yeah.
And that helped us. But yeah, I mean, they're a good team. But this is a really good win. And I know for a lot of fans, Riverside doesn't mean much. I understand that. But when you watch the film and you know they had a great head coach, I'm really pleased with the way we played, and I'm really glad to come out of here with a big win and a lot of confidence going forward.
So these 4 games, Coach Matthews, right before Maui, obviously all against low majors, but what were your takeaways in these 4 games? Obviously, it seems like we said this on one of the shows. It seems like the offense is kind of back to the offense that we're used to. Last year was a bit of an anomaly with a little bit of a clunkier offense. You guys played a little bit slower. You didn't have near as much shooting. You had a couple of good shooters in O'Connell and Hawkins, but could be streaky at times. This offense seems to really be clicking and seems to be flowing. What are your impressions of both the offense and the defense through these first 4 games?
I think one thing to remember is, although, yeah, we have a lot of guys back, it's still a new team. I think what you saw from St. Thomas that kind of proved that it was going to take a little bit of time. When you play in some of these games and you get out to some of the leads that we've been able to get out to, you start rotating guys in and out a little bit more. And so you don't have your starting 5 playing together as many minutes as you might if there were closer games. And so even though we've practiced a ton, you still need those live game reps to really get comfortable, especially with a guy like Baylor who, everybody sees it. He's got a tremendous feel for the game, can make plays in different ways, makes people around him better, and then is a pretty darn good player just on his own right, and the way he shoots the ball and can get in the lane and mix things up. So, what I've seen is a team that's learning each other and is learning how to play together. There's a lot of talk off season about all 5 starters and, potential NBA talk. They're young men, and they're 18, 19, 20-year-olds that people are all in their ear telling them how good they are and how they're going to be in the NBA next year. And I'm 38. And if you told me in a year from now, I'm going to be in the NBA, besides telling you that you're crazy, I would be pretty excited, and I probably would be thinking forward to that. And so I think what we've seen is a team that's maybe kind of regrouped a little bit, like, all right, let's just worry about Holy Cross. Let's just worry about
President. Yep.
And I think if we can do that and continue to do that, we'll be fine. And I'm really encouraged, again, leaving the arena tonight, scoring the way we did. We did 80 points tonight. Again, another great game from Ryan Nemhard. No turnovers, which is going to be crucial for us in Maui. There's so many things. I can look at the stat sheet and go down and just pinpoint a bunch of different things. But what I think you've seen is growth, and that's what we need to see. If hopefully this is, the worst game that we play going forward, right? And if that's the case, then we're going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, Coach,
go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
On the subject of, looking at the stat sheet, I know the game just ended about, an hour ago. I was wondering if coaches have gotten together and talked about what to do with Baylor because he had 0 assists tonight.
I'm
just messing with you.
Okay, I was going to say I didn't even notice that one. How many did he have? Was he 0?
Yeah, he had 0 tonight, yeah.
When you're shooting like that, I don't want him passing you, I guess. But we haven't gone that far. So the staff is kind of getting split up tomorrow for Maui. So some of them are going out, some of us are flying on Saturday. So we got family coming in and stuff. So there were a lot of us were kind of in and out. I stuck around here to do this, but yeah, no, we haven't met yet. We'll meet tomorrow and talk about it. And if Coach Mack, like, that guy watches so much film and studies it, and guarantee he'll be sending clips to the assistants and some of our players tonight. He's the best. So there will definitely be some stuff they take from the stats, but more so from the film.
For sure.
I've always been impressed with Mac and the film stuff. I mean, obviously he's been doing this for such a long time, but he's able to see things watching film like ASAP. And that's probably why he's able to watch so much of it and get through it so quickly, because he can process what's going on so quickly, which is for anybody that's been around the game for a long time. That's not, even if you've been around it for a long time, that's not an easy thing to do, as you know.
Yeah, Ross, he's the best. I mean, he really, what I'm the most impressed with Mac in terms of film is his memory.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite stories since being here is we were getting ready for Holy Cross, and Holy Cross runs an action where they have a guard that goes off a back screen. He goes into a cross screen in the post, and they bring their big over for a post feed. And Mac's big on play calls. He wants to know what they're calling this play so we can prepare our guys. And the head coach at Holy Cross used to be at Marquette with Wojciechowski.
Brett Nelson, yep.
And so, and he was convinced that they ran that play at Marquette. And he said, "Okay, I'm telling you, it's Marquette. See if they have the play call," because some of those calls were the same that they were calling them at Marquette. So I went back and looked. He was right. They ran it at Marquette, but it was in 2013-14 with Buzz Williams. And so I go down to the practice court and I said, "Coach, you're right. Marquette did run this play.
But it wasn't under Wojo.
But it was Buzz Williams." And so I don't think the play call is the same. He started laughing. I mean, he's like, "Well, I knew it was Marquette, Case." And it's that kind of
That's
stuff
funny.
More frequently than you'd think. And
yeah,
like to just remember that, I'm just telling you, as much film as we watch to remember that play, it's crazy. He's unbelievable. My first year here, I'm telling you, I would leave meetings like, gosh, this guy just remembers everything.
How does he know that? How does he figure that out? Yeah, we could go another 20 minutes on Mac and preparation and your guys' preparation and how good it is. But we only have so much time. Last question before we let you get out of here. Have you seen much of Texas Tech yet? Obviously you're going to dive into them. If you have seen some of them, what are your initial impressions? And just, if you could just chat briefly about the Texas Tech game in Maui.
So Texas Tech's not mine. That's Coach Murph was doing that one. I've got Arkansas and Louisville that I've been working on, and then I've got Texas. When we get back, so that's kind of what my time has been spent on. I have watched a little bit of them, and defensively, they're really, really good.
They're the real deal. Yeah,
they are. And if you think back to like Iowa State style defensively, that's a very similar style that we're going to face defensively, where they're going to really get out and pressure us. I think that Iowa State scrimmage is going to come back and help us, just because we did go against some of that. And offensively, they do some good things. They're talented. They're in the top 25 for a reason, and they're well coached. Like, it's going to be a battle. And, you remember the game we played at Vegas. I know Chris Beard was the coach, then, but that was a spirited game. It's kind of back and forth. And I'm expecting a similar game. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge. I know our guys are fired up for it. We have a lot of respect for them, and we're going to come in there hoping to play our best basketball this season.
Well, awesome, Coach. Thanks so much. Good luck, obviously, in Maui. I hope you guys have a ton of fun. I know there's a ton of fans going, and you're gonna have a ton of support. And primetime ESPN, it's gonna be a blast. So we wish you luck, and thanks for hopping on with us.
Thank you guys so much. This is awesome. We appreciate all your support, and we'll look forward to talking again soon.
Yeah,
awesome. Thanks, Casey.
Yeah, see you.
That was Casey Matthews, video coordinator for the Creighton basketball team. He's been with Coach Mack a few years now. Casey, I know I've gotten to know Casey throughout the years, Zach, and he's a great guy, and he works really hard. I know Mack really values him, and I think the coaching staff a lot of times, obviously Mack's the big name, and Mack's the guy that makes all the calls, and he's the head honcho, and we can wax poetic about Mac all night long, but his staff is unbelievable, and they do a really really good job, and a lot of them don't get near as notice as they should, and they're all going to go and do great things in coaching. I think Casey's one of those. So really quickly, Zach, as we were talking about the last time, I pulled it up. Baylor Shireman recorded an assist in every single game for South Dakota State last year. So let's go to the pandemic season, 2020, 2021. Let's see. Looks like he had a goose egg in that season. He had one. Wow, literally almost 2 years ago against St. Mary's on November 27th of 2020.
Wow.
Almost 2 years. So looks like we got Tim trying to join. I guess we should probably shout out a couple of our sponsors here: Equitable Bank, Infusion Brewery. If you were for Infusion, by the way, if you were at the Creighton games and you see the fantastic Let It Fly beer cans that they sell, have one of the coolest logos, coolest beer cans you're going to find. The beer tastes fantastic. You should certainly get one. We have one of the best perks in the country of being able to buy beer at the game. Buy one of the Let It Fly beers. You won't be disappointed. I can assure you of that. So, again, 51, 80 to 51 tonight. Jays win. Tim, have you joined us? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We got you, man.
Been a little bit of a
trek.
Hectic ending to the trip. Okay, let's just put it that way.
Hectic.
Seriously,
start.
The luggage took forever. We got in early.
That'll happen.
Next thing you know, it was 5 o'clock local time, and we're not even like hardly out of the airport yet. And I'm like, holy crap! So I apologize for that.
That's all right. Zach, were you able to watch the game tonight?
I did watch the game. I wasn't there, but I did watch it.
Okay, cool. How was Coach Matthews?
He was great. He's always good. He gives us a lot of meat and potatoes.
Did he have some good Texas Tech stuff?
He said that is Coach Murph's scout. He's got Arkansas and Louisville, so he hasn't seen them a ton. Obviously knows the kind of the bits and pieces of them, and which most people that follow the sport, it's kind of the same deal. They're tough. They're going to get in you defensively. They're going to be physical, and he did make a good point about they're very similar the way they defend to the way Iowa State and Coach Otzelberger's teams at Iowa State defend, and so they think that hopefully that the scrimmage against Iowa State will serve them well come Monday morning out in Maui. So I hope he's right. I think this team is physical enough and mature enough to be able to handle that. We look back to last year, that was really those guys, that was kind of the first time they had ever faced a defense like that. And they were totally caught off guard.
Right. So, yeah. It'll be helping too with Farabello, can give them a little insight on having played Texas Tech numerous times too. So that'll be helpful as well,
Yep. So it's going to come down to making shots, though. They're going to defend. I mean, we're not going to be able to, just whip the ball around and play like we're the Harlem Globetrotters against Texas Tech. But nobody does that. So you're going to have to be able to make some shots. And I'm hoping that will translate over to kind of a high school gym. What do they call it? They call it the Maui Convocation Center. Is that what they call it, Tim?
Yeah. So we on the way for some logistics for everybody. So the airport is like way on the other side of the island from where like Lanai is and Kaanapali and so forth and Kapalua. So we had to kind of come through that area right where the downtown is. We didn't have a chance. We're going to do it tomorrow after we hit the little white ball in the morning. We're going to go and kind of check out where the Civic Center is and where the two hotels. We saw the two hotels, Hyatt, and I believe there's one other one where the teams are staying. And they're just about 5 miles down the road from us. But again, if you've never been to Maui, it's a 2-lane road. I mean, going 30 miles takes an hour. It's like it's beautiful though. It's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. sorry, I didn't want to hijack what you guys were talking about, but have you? I've got some stuff. We've kind of reached out to all the teams that are in the tournament and all the rivals boards, and so they're excited about listening into our coverage when we have anything, and we'll kind of pinpoint it to them as we go along. So I thought we'd maybe look at Texas Tech a little bit. Just a couple things I noticed. I had Ross, maybe you know this. I had no idea Kerwin Walton was at Texas Tech.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. I remember when I had heard the kind of the news that he had committed there. I completely forgot about it. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I was going through the roster and I'm like, wait, Kerwin Walton? I mean, it just jumped out at me, and I kind of looked at some of the things he did for Texas Tech and so forth. They're 3-0. They beat Northwestern State, Texas Southern, and Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech they beat by 9. So they've kind of played really a similar schedule that Creighton has, really, as far as competition. Louisiana Tech probably a step above of what Creighton's played.
Well, I will say this. Northwestern State won at TCU. And then they followed that up and they won at Illinois State tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I noticed that. So, but yeah, they had no problem with them. I mean, they had a 24-point win. So, strong effort. O'Banner's still there. What is he in about his 8th year? Seems like, because gosh, he played a few years at Oral.
Well, we're getting these. That's the case with a lot of kids. Or with these COVID years, you seem like they've just been there for forever. I mean, I saw today Isaiah Poor Bear Chandler received eligibility for Wichita State. He boomeranged back to Wichita State. I mean, he must have graduated high school in like 2015.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
there's a lot of that.
Another guy that jumped out at me, just the name, and I was like, whoa, how did I know that name? And then I remembered it was a guy that was, kind of remotely on Creighton's radar, not really. Pop Isaacs, freshman from Las Vegas. He's on the Texas Tech team. Guy that we just, I don't know how seriously we were recruiting him, but he was certainly a guy that was on our radar. So this tournament is probably it for Texas Tech as far as non-conference. They don't play anybody in the non-conference. Like they don't have I think their crossover game is Georgetown in the Big East.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't.
So they really lucked out there.
Well, they play. They do that thing with the SEC in the middle of conference season, but they play LSU, who is down with a brand new coach this year. So
they'll definitely have that game. Absolutely,
kind of it for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like their website. First of all, let me just say that.
Who's what? Texas Tech's website?
Yeah, it's just hard to maneuver. It's not like ours. It's pretty simple to look at. But they're a top 25 team, no doubt about it. And it's going to be the Jays. It's not a genius to say this. It's going to be the Jays' biggest challenge of the season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously of the 4 teams they've played, they haven't really been. St. Thomas challenged them a little bit. Zach and I chatted briefly. St. Thomas got smoked at Montana tonight. But
Montana's pretty good, generally speaking. Montana's usually got a good squad.
They usually do, but Montana, they've been really bad to start the year. I mean, they got blown out. Montana did at Duquesne, and then they got blown out at Xavier, which obviously getting blown out at Xavier is not as bad, but I wouldn't expect them to lose by 30 at Duquesne.
Right.
But yeah, this is a big boy tournament. I mean, obviously the weak link in this tournament is Louisville. But between Texas Tech and Arkansas and Ohio State and San Diego State, I mean, this is a serious one. So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So on the plane today, I was first of all very surprised at how many fans are coming over early. I mean, I thought there'd just be a scattering of them, but quite a few Jays fans, Texas Tech, Arizona. I think I saw some Arkansas fans on the plane.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention Arizona. Yeah, I mean they're
yeah. the guy in front of me was an Arizona fan, and we chatted just briefly, but he said, he thought we absolutely got screwed on the seedings in this tournament. He's like, holy cow. He goes, you guys just, what you have to go up against potentially is crazy. Texas Tech, Arkansas, and Arizona or Ohio State or San Diego State, 3 ranked teams where, Arkansas really gets a pass in the first game.
Well, it's impossible to know when you put these things together. I mean, it is what it is.
No, but they didn't do the seedings till like late this summer. They're really the matchup. So a little bit like against Northwestern State. Botko, another guy we're kind of familiar with, he had 12 points for him, 10 rebounds, so he had a double for him in their first game. Very balanced team. Jalen Tyson, Yvonne Harmon, Pop Isaacs actually is a freshman getting some run, had 6 points. So yeah, really balanced. That's the thing that stood out to me about them. They're a very balanced team. Hey, I want to, if I could take a second here, because we only have a few minutes left. And I apologize for all the difficulties today to put this together, but thanks to Ross and Zach for taking care of it back in Omaha. Just kind of give everybody kind of like a heads up of what we're going to do here over the next few days. So Sunday, we're not going to have any kind of a show, but Sunday we will hopefully have some interviews and so forth from the press conference of the teams. So we'll post them right here on this YouTube channel. So check that out. Monday, we will not have a show either. After seeing the traffic tonight, I'm kind of rethinking my whole schedule while I'm here. But at any rate, hopefully I'll get some interviews with Coach Mack right after the game. And we'll post that also here on the YouTube channel and elsewhere on BlueJayBanner.com. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, the plan is to have a post-game show, whether it'd be a Tuesday afternoon, late afternoon Omaha time. If we lose, it would be around the same time, I guess, maybe a little bit earlier if we win, right? We'd play the early game at night, Maui time. So yeah, it'd probably be a late game. Probably at 9 o'clock or something like that.
I gotta look at the bracket.
Yeah. So if we lose, we play 9:30 Maui time again, which would be 1:30 Omaha time. If we win, I think we play like the 6 o'clock game Maui time.
Okay.
5 o'clock. Maybe it's 5 o'clock.
So Tim, is your plan are you planning on going to, we're the first game that, on Monday, are you planning on going to all the rest of the games, or are you going to bow out of?
Well, I'm gonna obviously go to the Creighton game, but then I have some other commitments that day. But Tuesday, I'm gonna, depending on what session we're in, I'm definitely gonna stick around and watch games, and then absolutely gonna watch Creighton on Wednesday, and absolutely be there for the championship game. So
are you gonna? So, like, for instance, are you gonna stick around ASAP right after for Louisville, Arkansas?
No. I've got something going on. I gotta leave fairly quickly unless I get that change, which I'm gonna try and do. But
gotcha. So have
family duties, Ross. What
is your prediction for Maui? We got a couple minutes left here. I want to hear your prediction.
I think I don't mean to be a downer, but I can very easily see us being 1-2. I mean, if we lose that first game, we will definitely beat Louisville, and then we will play like maybe an Ohio State or a San Diego State, and that could be, a tough game. That's going to be a tough game no matter who we play in that fifth place.
You're saying if we lose Texas Tech, then we play Louisville, we'll beat Louisville, and then maybe it's Ohio State or San Diego State. I've watched Cincinnati. They have some pieces, and I don't think Ohio State's as good. The only teams I think in this tournament that can beat us are San Diego State, Arizona, or Arkansas.
Yeah. And I just think historically in the Maui, there's upsets. There's been some pretty decent upsets. And so that's like kind of looking at maybe Ohio State upsetting San Diego State, pushing them in the losers bracket. And then they beat Cincinnati and we would meet up with them, which would be kind of interesting because those two teams are flying over here together, which is crazy. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So Creighton's heading out tomorrow to go to San
That's
Diego.
right. To go to San Diego, and they're going to practice in San
Practice
Diego.
there.
Yep.
And then Saturday, San Diego State and Creighton are going on the same plane over to Maui. So
interesting.
Yeah.
And Kaluma's brother is still on San Diego State, I think, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
So interesting. At any rate, that's kind of our plan. So look for product on Sunday, Monday, and then we'll have post games on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Perfect. I'm excited for you. I'm jealous, more so just jealous of you, quite honestly, but excited for you at the same time. Jealous that you're golfing.
It was a long day, but tomorrow's going to be worth it. So
what was that connection like? Where did you go to LAX?
We went to Phoenix, actually.
And so how long was it from Phoenix to Maui?
It was fine. We kind of lost track of time because you switch time zones and so forth. I think it was like 6.5 or 6, something like that. It wasn't bad at all. We got in early, like I said. Then we had to wait to get in the gate and then the luggage and so forth. So, Hey, thanks for watching. I know this is like a little shortened show. Maybe Zach and I will get together and do something extra as well. But thanks so much. We'll talk to everybody. If not before, we'll talk to you on Tuesday.